클릭, 더블 클릭, 그리고 오른쪽 버튼 클릭, 마우스 드래그, 그리고 마우스 스크롤 같은 이제 저희가 흔히 사용하는 기능들을 구현했고요. 그리고 거기서 더 나아가서 눈의 움직임을 바로 컴퓨터 입력과 해석해주는 그런 기능을 추가했습니다. 예를 들어 우리가 만화를 보고 싶다 하면 이제 그럼 눈을
So, ladies and gentlemen, Team EyeCan. See the difference in that? All right, let's get going. So I'm going to ask some questions. I was warned that that this audience might not be participatory. So I would like to disprove that, since John got you guys to sing. If you have questions that you want to have answered, we have some questions prepared, but please don't be bashful. Interrupt and yell out some questions. We're happy to answer those. All right, first question. Stand by. Why did you guys start this process? Why did you start the project of the EyeCan?
Okay, I'll answer. Can I talk in Korean?
Korean or
Okay,
English?
I will.
What do you guys want?
네, 안녕하세요. 아이캔 팀의 이상원입니다. 저희가 원래 프로젝트를 시작했던 거는
My name is Isangwon from the EyeCan team. We were inspired by the tempt experience, and that's why we started the project. We looked at that story and thought that it should be more than a personal story. It should be able to change the lives of many. That's why we started the project. EyeCan or EyeWriter frees people, and we thought that we could help the 30,000 Lou Gehrig patients in Korea. So it was an ambitious undertaking, and that's how we started the project. But let me be more simple. I'm an engineer, and I was a company worker that liked working with computers. And I thought it was just fascinating that a person could control the computer using his eyes. So I took part in the project. And I thought that we could go further. We could allow a person to play Super Mario with his eyes. And I think that it was this fun element that allowed us to be really engaged in the project.
I'm listening to his answer. Hang on. Hold on. Okay. He's done. Did you create this for a specific person, or was this just created for the general need that existed out there? Anyone who wants to answer that?
Yeah. 그렇죠. 예, 아이캔 팀 조성구입니다.
My name is 조성은. I'm from the EyeCan
이
team.
세상에는 이미
I think that in this
누군지
world,
모르는 다른 사람들을 위해서 도움을 주시는 분들이 정말 셀 수 없이 많다고.
there are so many people who help others. For example, doctors
사람들의 생명을 살리기 위해서 의료 봉사를
work very hard. They volunteer to save people that they don't know. We can use technology to help people, although we don't know them. That's why I started to work in this project. When I first saw EyeWriter, I was fascinated. I thought it was awesome. Furthermore, it's based on open source. We have Lou Gehrig disease patients in Korea, so I wanted to help them too. That was my cause. The patients could use the EyeCan and say something to their parents. They can say something nice to their parents. They can let others know of their emergency situation. That could change the lives of these patients. And just watching them be able to do that was gratifying. Just like I came from EyeWriter, I hope that EyeCan project will become more public. The EyeCan project became more public, and people started to join us. Some people use the EyeCan technology to create their original invention. And Mr. Chang Dong-hoon and his team designed the open hardware for us, although he's a very busy man. a very busy man. In Portugal, there are also teams that are doing their own eyeCan, their own version of a local eyeCan in Portuguese. So if the intention is good, the project is valuable, and these projects need to be connected to create further value. And the project can go on based on collaboration.
Yeah, great answer. Just to capitalize on that, I couldn't agree more, because you know, the saying is, if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. I think that when people have that connection to a project, they'll figure out a way to get it done. And John talked a little bit about Bill Joy's comment where the smartest people work for someone else. That's great, because in the open source world, in the Not Impossible Labs world, that's fantastic. We want them to work for everybody else, because we get a chance to kind of harness and mine all of that knowledge from separate places to come in to create like what you guys did. You guys were able to build things into the eyeCan that we weren't able to build into the EyeWriter. When I talked a little bit about it, about our things that we didn't accomplish, you guys were able to take and go. Can you talk about that? Like, how did you choose the functionalities that you wanted to build, and how did that work? Okay.
실제로 이제 방금 얘기했던 것처럼 이제 저희가 EyeWriter에 더 있으면 좋겠다고 생각했던 부분이 바로
As you
마우스
mentioned,
기능이었습니다.
we wanted to provide some mouse functionality to the EyeWriters, because if you want to use the computers, you need to click and double-click using the mouse, and that was a big problem. Behind it, there is a very long and dynamic drama-like story behind it. It was in April 2011. We listened to the story of McEvelyn's and Thames, so we started this project as a hobby. After the work and during the weekends, we shared our time and had a meeting and started work on it. And since it's just a hobby, and after a day's work, you go home and start to do it, and it doesn't work that way. So there has been a delay for about 2 months. Then we decided to announce this project, and we can do this eyeball mover and help people. And since we didn't have enough progress, I was embarrassed, and therefore overnight I worked on it so that the hidden pictures can be found, or some plays can be done on it. But that day was very important, because we were able to show a program that really works, although it was not much, it doesn't amount to much. So many people in and out of our company began to recognize this, and therefore we were able to start this project as an official company project within our company. And there are about 50 people now involved in this project.
Meeting with you here, Vic, and very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys as well. Very nice. These guys are my heroes. How are you guys distributing the eyeCan? I mean, how do you choose? Our whole methodology was just to publish the code and let people come. And if people came in and said, "Hey, can you make one for us?" we'd say, "You got to go make it yourself." How are you guys distributing the eyeCan? Raise your hand high. Yes, you in the middle.
네, 안녕하세요. eyeCan 프로젝트
Good afternoon.
유경아입니다.
My name is Kyunghwa, a project
저희가
team member of the eyeCan. And in the beginning, we started this project as an open source project, and we thought if we can make it as a DIY, anyone can use. But we then realized that that is not an easy thing for the people who really need it to be able to use it. Now, we need to give you some personal background. I'm not an engineer. I have studied the humanities, and I do not like to work with the electronic devices. This is not the right topic to talk about it this digital forum.
Then I'm gonna break your gear, I think.
Yeah.
So, 네, 그래서 저 같은 경우는 사실 컴퓨터 손만 대도
So for me,
고장나고
if
이런
I
사람이라서
touch the computer with my hands, then the computer goes broke. But I thought the goal mission was very good, so I joined. But later I found out that you need some engineering skills. So I was wondering what kind of contribution that I can make. But I tried to imitate what others are doing, but it was difficult because I do not have any engineering background and I have a very green thumb as far as technology is concerned. So I thought maybe the patients will be the same like me. So if the patients are to be able to use this, this has to be provided to them as a finished product. And think about using your eyes to use the computer. Now, it will be extremely difficult because when we move our eyeballs, we don't do it consciously. So you need some training to be able to use this machine. And you have to have some gadgets that support your neck. So I thought maybe the environment and programs need to be made, and therefore we thought maybe cooperation can be made towards that directions, and those who knows more about those technologies and who can help better support who the patients can be cooperated. And fortunately, there is an organization under the Ministry of Health, and we were able to work with them, and they were helping us to distribute the machine and provide the training.
How many people that you know of
Yeah.
in Korea have the eyeCan or are using the eyeCan?
현재 제가 듣기로는
As
한
of now, from what
50분
I've heard,
정도가
there are
받으셨다고
about
하더라고요.
50
그래서
who
저희는
received the
사실
eyeCan.
아직은 미미하지만
It's a small thing, but it's a small number, but I hope it'll increase in the future. Actually, we receive more mails from overseas. They want us to make it and provide it, and they want us to tell them how to do that. So perhaps we could link up with another organization overseas, provide as much help we can, and that organization can be in charge of local development.
How did you come about becoming a team? Like, what were you guys friends before this? Did you know each other before this, or did you happen to meet at a karaoke bar, or how did it all come together? Who wants that? Who wants that one? Higher, higher, higher.
죄송합니다. 제가 좀 긴장을 해서 좀.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous here.
예. 사실 저
Well,
같은 경우는
actually, in my case,
그냥 퇴근하고 집에서
I
하면서 낄낄거리던 그냥
was a thoughtless worker who used to go home after work and spend time on the computer. But then I came across TED and looked at the wonderful things people were doing, and I wanted to do my share. Then we met, talked about the values that we thought were important. And something clicked. Rather than just being in my own room and thinking on my own, I liked the idea of being a team and doing something together, creating a force together. It was a great experience for me, a great journey for me, and I learned so much from it. From the EyeWriter to eyeCan, we were fascinated by the idea and the value that we could enable people to communicate with the world although they were disabled or paralyzed. It was a journey, and I could contribute something that was valuable. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve to be up here or whether I'm qualified to be
여러분이나
up
저나
here.
뭐다 똑같은
But
보통 다 우리
We're all pretty much the same. We're ordinary people.
여러분들도
So I'd like to make a proposal. If you have any leftover time, if you have any leftover talent, make your own team and make your own contribution.
Could not agree more. What is your next plan? What's next on the horizon for Team eyeCan?
네.
Higher, higher. I can't see you.
네, 마침내 제 차례가 됐네요. 네.
Lastly, I have the
저는
chance
eyeCan
to
팀의
speak.
정진용이라고
My name
합니다.
is Jinyong of the eyeCan team. As other members have said, about 50 people are being serviced by the local organization. But in order for them to be able to actually use it, the continued services need to be provided. We made hardware and software, and we have delivered the product to the people. However, it takes time for the patients to get used to using it, and therefore our next plan is how to facilitate actual usage of the device by the patient. And the code and all the manuals are published in the open source forum, and many people are contacting us. And what I hope is that if you can actually distribute this device to the patients, and so that the patients can get to use it in other different countries, that is what I hope, and I do hope that you provide help there too.
Yes, I agree.
예.
We're gonna speed up. We're gonna speed up.
네. 그리고 저희가 오늘 그 서울 디지털 포럼의 주제인 것처럼 저희가 오픈 소스 프로젝트를 하다가
theme of Seoul Digital Forum this year is a super cooperation. And in this project, what I came to recognize is that the unexpected connections can be made, and designers were more than willing to help us. And in doing this work, we needed a lot of help from many different people, and we needed to improve the user manuals. And through the workshop, about 100 ordinary people joined in our efforts so that we could improve the services and the process. And looking at those, before I joined the eyeCan project, I didn't know that the open source project could be that much valuable and can provide that much help to many people. And now I see that there are many open source projects, and although we have come to almost the closing of the eyeCan project, if there are any other open source project that I can make contribution to, that I'd like to do. And we have changed the functionality of the eyeCan, and therefore maybe we can also do a open hardware project. When I listen to Mick's presentation, can I ask you a question to you, Mick? Because you talked about a open source website during your talk.
Yes, you can ask me a question.
오케이. 네, 저 뒤에 보면 이제 Not Impossible Foundation Lab이라는
On the screen, you can see the Not Impossible Labs. Did you launch this site today?
That was launched today, right? If what do I need to do to participate in that project?
You just need to go online.
그냥
You
온라인으로
need to-
가시면 됩니다.
just need to go online and sign up. And in fact, I said today that we had just launched it. These first 5 are the first 5. I told them backstage about 20 minutes ago about the project. So, Tim was talking about earlier today about the first 26 websites that he had, and he kept them on a list. I was super excited to have these guys be the first 5 members of the Not Impossible Lab. So I told them, I kind of sneaked a little peek to them earlier. But literally, and what you guys said is so perfect, because that's the whole premise of what we're talking about, is that I felt the same way as you. It's like, I'm just a producer. I don't know anything. I can turn on a computer and I can turn it off a computer, but that's getting into the guts and stuff like that. I didn't know about it. But it seems like you guys kind of were taken by the same thing. It's like if that will to actually make a difference, and it doesn't mean that every single thing that comes across you is something that you're going to be motivated by to stay up late at night, because there were lots of people who were exposed to the EyeWriter who it didn't speak to them. It wasn't important to them, and that's fine. The reason we started the Not Impossible Labs is for 2 reasons. We want to circulate enough causes so that someone can go, no, no, no. Oh yeah, I want to be involved with that. That's what I want to be involved with. And on the side of kind of the involvement and the maker side, but we also, being a maker and kind of being involved with this doesn't mean you have to be going to MIT. It's not official yet. I'm sorry, it's not going to MIT. Sorry. It just means that you have a burning desire to contribute your skills and contribute your gifts to try to make a difference. And if that burning desire overshadows any lack of information or any lack of skills whatsoever at all.
I have additional question as well.
Yeah.
Is that 그거는
That
그
is.
엔지니어만 가능한가요?
Is it only engineers that are possible? For example, the non-technical person like me who's in charge of business models, can I join the project as well?
Absolutely. And in fact, it's funny because in the process of creating this, I will ask your forgiveness right now. We just launched this today, so there's going to be bugs. In fact, when these guys tried to sign up today, there was a bug, and I called my tech guy. I'm like, it's not working, and I'm going on stage in 20 minutes. You get this thing working. There's going to be bugs. We're going to have to figure certain things out, but we've talked about that a lot internally. The project manager, that non-technical person, is super important to being the steward. Like the producer role, the role that I played, was just to kind of make sure that they were fed, make sure that there was enough beer in the fridge, set up the meetings, go get the cameras. Like, that role of organization is critical in the accomplishment of it. So there's going to be, when you guys go online and see, you can check whether you're a nanotechnologist or an electrical engineer, things like that, but we're also going to be creating tabs and categories of whether or not you're a producer or a project manager. And, I'm a little biased, of course, but I think that the project management part of this is going to be really critical to the success.
Oh,
So yes.
thank you.
질문이 또 하나 있는데요.
Any more questions? And then we'll see if we can get some shy people to yell out some questions. Any more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
아까 그 메이커에 대해서 뭐 열정과 의지에 대해서
You said that you talked about the maker and the passions and the strong will. And can you be more specific? What kind of people can be a maker?
So the concept, remember how I said I was infatuated with this concept of impossible? I'm second to that is I'm infatuated with this concept of the maker and what the maker is. And I think the classic, if you go into Wikipedia, a maker is someone who knows their way around a 3D printer or a CNC machine, or knows how to, possesses a soldering iron and things like that, kind of like the classic geek and hacker. I would say, how many people in this room have had to hammer a nail in and looked around and didn't have a hammer, so they picked up a wrench or a rock to hammer it in? You're a maker. Welcome to the team. It's truly about, I think it goes to like this primitive instinct of just figuring it out. Like, whatever it takes, just get it done. So we don't want the Not Impossible Labs to be a geek fest. I don't know if that translates, but we don't want it to be a bunch of just rocket scientists and geniuses. They're really important. We want them part of the team, unquestionably. But we also we need to have that, you talked about studying the humanities. There needs to be both the science and the human component of this to kind of cause that ecosystem to work. So we need the scientists and we need the humans and the producers and the people that are just have passion. So it's a long answer to what the definition of a maker is, but I think we're all makers. It's just a question of when you commit, how much you're willing to do, and if you have to nail that nail in, you'll use your heel, you'll use a chair, you use whatever you've got to do to get it done. So any other questions, or should we open it up out here? All right, so we have, it's starting to blink, so we don't have much time. Somebody has to ask a question, or I'm bringing John out and he's going to sing again. John, get ready. Questions, bam, go.
어떤 일을 할지 얘기를 해줬잖아요. 그래서 이제 저는 궁금한 게 eyeCan 팀이나 아니면은 삼성전자에 있는 C랩에서 앞으로 어떤 일을 하실지, 아니면은 본인들이 지금 eyeCan 프로젝트가 끝이 났잖아요. 끝이 났다고 아까 말씀을 하셨는데 이제 좀 더 앞으로 나가서 미래에 어떤 걸 하실지 구체적인 계획이나 말씀해 주실 수 있는 게 있으면.
Okay. I'll translate that. Is curious about the next eyeCan project?
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to take that?
제가 넥스트 플랜 담당입니다. 저희가 그 eyeCan 프로젝트를 작년 5월에 이제
Last May,
상해발 연구소에서 프로젝트가 끝났고요.
we completed our eyeCan project. And after that, we came back to our original job. at our company. But still, no, we are still involved in and attracted to the open source project, and therefore we wanted to hack some new hardwares to make some contributions. Maybe next week you will be able to hear good news. Because we have many plans to start many interesting projects.
Maybe 2 more questions. You gotta yell it out. All right, go. You gotta yell. You guys want to take? You guys answer first. I'll answer second.
오케이. 일단 eyecan은 저희가 EyeWriter에서 이제 가졌던
From
오픈
the
소스
EyeWriter, we brought the open source code of the EyeWriter to eyeCan, and the solutions we had to come up with is not to increase our share in the market or to sell more. We just wanted to give this good device to many people. And if more people can involved, we thought maybe it can be better improved and developed. So if you come to our homepage, you can have access to the source code, and you can see through what process we have made. So even the humanities major can
도
make
만들
it.
수 있는데요. 시간이 좀
It takes a little time if you are not an engineer. If it takes 30 minutes for these people to make it, it takes about 5 hours for me. So if you go to the eyecanproject.org, you can listen to
was
the
about
details.
The code. The premise of everything we're going to do is that the individual has unrestricted access to the source code and to the manuscripts or whatever it needs to be able to make that particular invention. If you're, and we're still figuring this out, how this is going to work, but in theory, if you're a company and you want to use it, then you come talk to us and we figure something out. But as far as the individuals go, it always has to be free to the individual. That's the only way people like this are going to have any inclination or desire to work on anything, if they know that the individuals around the world can get it for free.
Okay.
I'm going to look up. Oh, I'm getting this. What does this mean? This? What does this mean? This? I don't know. I don't speak. Thank you guys.